On the day after news of a major security lapse made headlines, a Senate hearing of the U.S. intelligence chiefs took place in Washington, D.C. The U.S. Director of National Intelligence, along with heads of CIA, FBI, NSA, were testifying on intelligence on worldwide threats. And Tulsi Gabard has been questioned on whether she was part of the chat group where classified information was leaked. And this is what she had to say in this heated exchange.
So, Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
Senator, I don't want to get into the specifics.
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not. Are you denying? Ma'am, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat.
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
It's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
But when U.S. Senator and Vice Chairman of the committee, Mark Warner, asked the same question to CIA Director John Ratcliffe, confirmed that he was on the Houthi signal group chat. However, later in the hearing, Ratcliffe said that the chat group communication in which a journalist was included was not a mistake.
Director Ratcliffe, were you on the group chat?
Senator, I was on a signal messaging group.
So you were the John Ratcliffe on that chat?
I was.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tulsi Gabard refused to either admit or deny if she was part of the group on messenger app Signal, where military information was leaked to a journalist. The Intel head also declined to tell Senate committee whether she was using private phone during Signal chat. However, the one thing that Gabbard did say was that no classified information was shared on the group. The group on Signal, where Atlantic editor-in-chief Goldberg was added, was called Houthi PC Small Group. The chat included several high-profile leaders, including Vice President J.D. Vance, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, CIA Director John Ratcliffe, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabard, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and several other senior National Security Council officials. Meanwhile, the U.S. President has reportedly downplayed the incident while taking a question from NBC News. Trump told the news media channel, and I quote, "This is the first glitch in 2 months." Several questions have been raised on the credibility of the administration's senior-most leadership after a high-risk Fox Power conversations of the leak also revolved around how use of a messenger application to convey classified information breaks the law. It now remains to be seen if the U.S. president will take corrective action against the very people he nominated to his cabinet. And for the latest, let's talk to our correspondent Susan Teherani, who's joining us live from New York. Susan, a lot of confusion at the Senate hearing. We did hear that Tulsi Gabard did say that she was not part of she declined to actually answer that question. And also, the senators are confused. Right. They're saying that this is mind-boggling. Tell us more about this Senate hearing.
Yeah, there's no doubt, Eric, that it's mind-boggling. While the hearing is an annual hearing and it was aimed to focus on global threats, it really spiraled into a back and forth about this Signal chat group, understandably. But you mentioned there are a lot of confusions. There really are. One of the reasons for that is, and this is something that Tom Cotton, a Republican from Arkansas who was doing some of the questionings, also mentioned, is that, you know, when it comes to issues like what was happening in that chat group, there are different stages of classification, and each department determines what's classified and what's not. And so, for example, if Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, considers something classified, then it doesn't really, get trickled to other organizations sometimes, like Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe, who were sitting there. during that hearing. That's just one confusing aspect of it. Another aspect is right now we're hearing that Mike Walsh is denying that he added Jeffrey Goldberg to the chat group. So the question remains, who added him and how did he get into that chat group? Then it's the issue of why these officials were even using Signal in the first place. Ratcliffe, during that hearing that you mentioned, said that the CIA offered him that opportunity and they're allowed to use Signal. Again, that raises a lot of questions. He said that it goes back to the Biden administration. So until we, have like a concrete investigation into this, as Gabbard also mentioned, we're not going to really get answered. It's authentic. These chats are authentic, but we don't know whether or not classified information was leaked. But nonetheless, it's sloppy, it's messy. Whoever added Goldberg was not being careful enough at such a, sensitive time. And I think this hearing really showed that and showed the confusion that you mentioned. Best way to put it.
All right, Susan. So what do we look ahead from this? And now that the hearing has concluded, what is next to look out for?
So at around 12:40, in a few minutes from now, they are going to gather again behind closed doors, and the hearing is going to continue behind closed doors. How much information we're going to get out of that is yet to be seen. We have to wait for this investigation from the Walsh's department, the National Security Council, to see, whether or not they're going to be sharing anything. But nonetheless, but what we're seeing from the Trump administration, it's hard to imagine that anyone is going to get into real trouble. I mean, there has to be reforms, but we'll wait and see if he's going to really, put someone on the line as the fall guy. Again, very unpredictable, but we're watching very closely. Concerning as well, considering that this is such a sensitive time with Russia, China, the issue of Ukraine, Iran.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.